Hello? Good morning.
Good morning, Dean. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You're a little low. I was trying to see all the other presenters and things in.
No, not yet.
Okay. Uh, Reverend Torrance Robinson was having a problem getting in.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware. Does he need,
Yeah.
he needs the
Uh,
link?
can you send him the link again? Is it possible? Or invite him again?
Okay. I don't have his information,
Oh, okay.
but I will let the chairwoman know.
Okay. See Dr. Minor. Let me see where he is. Let's look for Dr. Minor out there in the waiting room. Hello?
Got him.
Okay, bring him in. Good morning, Dr. Minor. You're muted, but good morning. Good morning, Dr. Minor. Unmute yourself. Reverend Torrance, you look like you're unmuted. Say something.
All right, there we go.
Okay. I'll say, how you doing, Dr.
I'm
Minor? Good
overdressed.
morning.
Let me take this tag coat off then.
Okay, all right. Reverend Torrance Robinson is your host, and he says he can't hear us.
He can't hear us. Okay. I can hear you great.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's still saying he can't
He
hear. Hold
still
on.
says he can't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check some things out on my end.
Okay.
Okay. And I apologize. I'm using the Zoom webinar for meetings. I was waiting for a link. And
He was waiting for a link. Well, we should have got it to you. Our apologies. Our apologies. Yeah, how you been doing? I heard you must have been burning the midnight oil.
Oh yes, have been.
Yeah,
have been.
I did talk about the All of Us a little bit last night. Kind of tried to jump in. And,
oh, you did good.
Oh, and you see, we try to open every session has had your emblem up and an acknowledgement.
No problem, no problem. And Pastor Montgomery is going to drop off the check this morning, and I'll put it in the mail today.
Oh, okay. All right.
If the President Trump doesn't mention the mail, you have it pretty soon.
Say what now?
if President Trump doesn't mess up the mail service, you should have it pretty soon.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pastor Robinson, do you have sound?
Finally, yes, thank you.
Okay, praise the
Okay.
Lord.
Let me just do a quick introduction then. Dr. Robinson, Dr. Torrance Robinson, I know you're on your way, but I'll call you that anyway.
God bless you, brother. Listen,
All right.
I'm working on that proposal right now. After we get off, I'm back on the computer.
Okay. Well, listen, I want to introduce you to Dr. Michael Miner, good friend of mine, regional coordinator, national director of Project Hope. And I'm not going to mess your church up, Doctor. I know I had two names for it. You own the Hill,
It's the Hill Hernando, the Hill hyphen Hernando, the Hill Hernando Baptist Church.
the Hill on that, Hernando.
Right.
All right. Okay. All right. So you all have, I see at least 20, almost 20. I don't know if that's including us, 20 people in the waiting room already. This first session, you know, Reverend Robinson, is the pastor's session. And so
Right.
y'all can dialogue a little freer if you work it out with your technician. Dr. Miner, if you haven't sent your presentation, you got to
He
share your
sent it.
screen. You got it?
He sent the presentation. However,
Oh,
now
he sent-
I can't pull it up on my screen. I'm having a lot of tech problems here.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you can't put up on your screen, I can floor from here. So just let me know.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Can you do it from there, Dr. Miner? This is the kind of things we want to work out. before
Right.
y'all-
Well, if you enable me, am I able to share my screen? Well, if you can't get it, if you enable me to share my screen, I got you.
Okay, we have a technology person. Now, I'm not sure, I just see technology. Is this sister, who is this? Who's assigned this?
This is Reverend Turpin, Dean Williams.
Oh, what you mean Reverend Turpin? This Reverend Dr. Turpin.
Yes,
Another,
Right, Reverend?
another doctor on the line.
I'm in high cotton.
So she's you all's technical person. I actually drop in and out. So I got some introductions done with you all. You're in good hands. Reverend Dr. Turpin is a excellent person to have with you. Dr.
problem.
Miner, do your thing. I know you've been used to doing this.
Amen.
And Reverend Robinson, Reverend soon to be Dr. Robinson. All right.
God bless you, brother.
Okay. All right. God bless you all. I got to drop in and check on a couple of other people, but I drop in and out, and y'all just
No
have a
problem.
good morning. Praying
Okay.
for everybody.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And take
Before
it
you
there, Dr.
get-
Turpin.
Thank you, sir. Before you get started, Dr. Miner, if you could please email me your presentation.
All right, but hold on. Let me go up. I'm in my other office. Hold on. Also in the dining room. Oh, wait a minute. What's your
Turpin.
email address?
Yes, sir.
What's your email address?
Email address.
STURPIN 82.
STURPIN?
Yes. 82 at
Hold on.
Gmail.
Hold on. Write it down real fast. I thought it was gonna be short. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh shoot. This pen doesn't write.
All right. It's
All right, here we go. STURPIN
PIN 82
82.
at gmail.com.
All right. STURKPIN 82 at gmail.com.
it's no K.
No K.
STURPIN 82 at gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me go send it over.
Great. Dr. Turpin,
Yes.
how do I gather the questions from the pastors who will be listening? Is it in that Q&A
Yes.
box?
It'll be in the question and answer.
Great. Okay. Excellent.
You should have access to that.
Okay. Great.
And as of right now, there aren't any questions.
Right.
in
Got
there.
it. Great, thank you.
No problem.
I've had so many tech problems this morning. I was sweating heavy because I couldn't get it to work. Brenda had to send me another link.
No, I understand. You weren't the only one. Technical issues happen, but you know,
Okay.
that's why we're here to help work them out.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I just sent it.
Okay, thank you. Now, Pastor Robinson, did you say that you currently had his presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable you to share. I'm going to enable you to share so that you can show the presentation. And if something happens, I will then step in to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, here's the problem. His presentation is in my email, and I'm actually on the phone, and so I'd have to switch off, you know, to pull his email up. That was the problem I was having.
Okay. All right. I understand. Then I will share the presentation once I pull it up.
All right, should be right
Just-
there. Okay.
Just give me one moment to gather that.
Thank
So
you.
No
Thank
problem.
while you do your introductions, I'll get the presentation together.
Okay,
Excellent. Excellent. Dr. Minor, I promise I'm gonna take a course on this when this is over.
Oh man, look, it's a brave new world for everybody. You know.
Yes,
I mean,
sir. Yes, sir.
It's not getting used to it. I mean, I've been used to working with video conferencing from the user perspective, but once this hit, I had to
Okay.
learn how to do it from the participant perspective. Now I have to go work
Right.
from there. So.
Right.
And this is the
How
first
do you-
time.
I want to know, how did you want to handle the pastor's questions? Should we hold them to the end?
No. Let's make it interactive.
Okay.
Let's make
Got
it
it.
make
Okay.
it interactive. I've found that when you're going through, sometimes the pastor, somebody has a thought and just passes away. I'm fine. Okay.
Great.
And we got a big project we're finishing up here for our nonprofit, and this man is going. My wife is going to be getting up shortly, and
Wow.
she's a little late to. I'm working from my home office,
Mhm.
which is I actually have an office, but I'm in my other office when I have it. Which is also known as the dining room.
Right. That's right. That's where mine is. When I do the virtual worship service on the Sunday, I have to try to get the dogs put away because they get to shouting.
I got you.
Their shouts sound like barks.
You know, and the thing that gets me now is that with this, I thought we might see some light at the end of the tunnel, but I've been talking to some of these health professionals, and they're saying,
Yeah.
you know, be prepared for a year with this stuff.
Absolutely. Someone was talking about, you know, when are we getting back into the church? I said, not in a hurry, because we lost 7 members, 3 in one day of our prominent senior members, the chairman emeritus of our deacon board, the mother of the church, and another senior, all in one day. And when I tell you that it rocked our congregation, and the sad thing was we couldn't get together, you know,
that's right.
and memorialize them. So
We've had 4 households, which is about 12 people been affected, but not fortunately, because I was able to intervene in one person who didn't have health insurance. I got them in the hospital. They got looked at, so they're all have recovered or recovering.
okay, great.
But I got a lot of pressure on me because some other preachers in the area have started going back in. But as we know, I try to explain there's no 100% guarantee of protection if we get around each other.
Now I had COVID-19 the first week of March, and I'm not a young man. I'm 68, pressing to 69. God pulled me through that thing, man. When I tell you, it's something I never want to go through again. I tell people, you better be prayerful and careful. You know, because, you know, our exposure and
Right.
or the fact that we run ourselves down. And I had to run myself down trying to finish this dissertation and doing so many other things. Wasn't getting the right rest, wasn't eating right. So my immune system was not able to fight it off. But thank God in that hospital, I was in there 3 days. After the third day, I got up.
Oh boy, that's a testimony now.
Brother.
Let me ask this question. Do you have any idea where you got it from?
It could have happened anywhere. It would happen in the church. It was. I had a week of service for my 37th anniversary. And
wow, it would be the anniversary.
Yeah, the pastor that came Monday night, we found out he had COVID. Pastor that came Tuesday night, he had COVID. He passed away, Dr. Graham, you know, a good friend, broke our hearts. But he had some underlying conditions as well. So I came to understand, if you're not healthy when this thing hits you, it
Right,
does a lot of
you're
damage.
goner. You're goner.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
So
Wow.
now I'm eating a lot of fruits. I'm doing a lot of things.
All right, look at that.
Oh,
There you
wow,
go.
there it is. Dr. Turpin, you are the bomb diggity. That's a good thing.
Huh?
So I'm going to follow along with you if this is your beginning slide.
That's correct.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And I'll make it easy. We don't not trying to be real fancy dancy. I'm just going to say the old fashioned next slide.
Right. That's how they've been doing it.
Sounds good.
I want you to try to read my mind. I've been married be 25 years come August. My wife can't read my mind, so hey. You know what? I got the wrong background up, don't I? Because I'm not officially. So what hat am I wearing today? I'm doing this stuff about. Okay, so hold on. Let me.
Your church without walls.
No. But I've got to realize what. So I need to come do my state.
Oh, I see it.
There we go. Yeah, let me. Is it the top one I got on? Yeah. All right, there we go. I wear so many hats because with one hat I'm a sponsor, but another hat I'm presenting. There you go.
Right.
All right. Hold on. Let me get a bottle of water real quick.
Okay.
All right.
So Dr. Mine, I have your bio here, and they
Keep it short, please.
Huh?
Keep it short.
You got it. Okay, got it.
Highlights. I didn't have time to go down and really just hit the high points and
You
be
got
done
it.
with it. I'm not hung up. If you don't call me doctor, it's not gonna make a difference. Cause I've already earned it. So whatever you call me or not, I'm not hung up on that. You know, come on.
Amen. Amen.
You can tell the real doctors. They
That's
don't
right.
mind. They don't get upset when you don't call them doctor.
That's right. That's right.
The honorary will jump you.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I told you, let's take it all the way back to the beginning. They didn't call Jesus elder, bishop, apostle, pastor. He was Jesus.
That's true. All right, I can grab hold of that one.
All right, now. They should be joining us in about another 2 minutes or so.
Okay. All right. Look at my schedule here. All right. From 24. So we'll be done at it'll be an hour presentation, right?
It's 50 minutes and 10 minutes for questions.
Hour presentation. Okay. All right.
Right. That's right. Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. That is okay. All right. Wow. Getting ready for a new thing.
Yes, sir.
The day is June 24th, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, she just got June 23rd. That's what kept throwing me off.
I know, I saw that too. But I looked, all I focused on was Wednesday. I knew it was the last day.
Okay. I was like, okay, I know I ain't crazy.
Dr. Minor, I'm telling you, you're doing a great work, man.
Well, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
It's rough when it's not preaching, but we do the best we can.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Dr. Turpin,
Yes.
one final question. When the pastors post their questions and I would like to present the questions, will Dr. Minor be able to hear me when I make the when I try to make the interjection?
Yes. All you have
Okay,
to
great.
do is unmute your mic.
Got it. Okay.
While he's talking, you'll be muted, and
Right.
then when it's time for question and answer, you'll just unmute yourself.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Dr. Minor, Project Hope is sponsoring this, correct?
This event is correct.
Excellent.
That's correct. Responsible. Through the National Institutes of Health.
Through the who?
We're funding through the National Institutes of Health.
Okay.
NIH. NIH is good enough.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay.
All right. I'm ready to rock and roll when you are. I see it's now a little bit after 9.
All right. I'm waiting for them to allow the pastors to come in.
I see them, everybody up and rolling.
Oh, they're coming in.
Okay.
I believe. Let's see. All right. Good morning, Dr. Williams. God bless you, man. All right. I guess we're ready to go. We're going to get started now. First, let me say good morning to all of the pastors of the Empire Baptist Missionary State Convention, Congress of Christian Education. I'm Reverend Torrance Robinson, the pastor of the Gethsemane Baptist Church in the Bronx. And I have the privilege and pleasure this morning of presenting to you our webinar leader, Dr. Michael Mina. We want to acknowledge our state president, Dr. Carla Washington Jr., our state Congress president, Dr. Jimmy Banks, the second, and Dean Williamson. We have an outstanding presenter this morning, who is the National Director of Project Hope. And our presentation this morning is being sponsored by Project Hope through NIH. Dr. Michael Omina is a nationally known champion of faith-based health and wellness mobilization. He is best known as the Southern preacher who banned fried chicken from his church. As a community organizer for 30 years, Dr. Mina has worked on community empowerment, nonprofit business development, and faith community issues. An anointed and prolific gospel preacher, he currently serves as the under shepherd of the Hill Hernando Baptist Church family in Hernando, Mississippi. Dr. Mina has also been blessed to be a writer for the National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated Sunday School Publishing Board. His anointed, thought-provoking lessons can be seen in Townsend Press Commentary, Faith Series Adult Sunday School Quarterly, and the Layman's Quarterly. Additionally, Dr. Mina serves as the Southwest Region 1 coordinator for the SSB. In this role, he helps Congress of Christian Education in Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Germany ensure that their curricula are biblically sound and their staff skilled in work and doctrine. Evidence of the success of Dr. Mina's mobilization efforts have come through his work with former First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative. During a visit to Mississippi in February 2010, Dr. Mina participated in the launch of this effort. Dr. Mina received White House invitations to attend several events celebrating the success of Let's Move. Dr. Mina holds an undergraduate degree in economics from Harvard University, a master's degree in both business and administration and real estate development, and a doctorate degree in higher and adult education from the University of Memphis. Committed to staying current in the field of faith-based health and wellness mobilization, Dr. Mina is active in professional and personal development. He is an adjunct faculty member at Lemoyne-Owen College and continues to conduct primary research. Married to the former Lottie Bennett, Dr. Mina has 3 wonderful daughters, Bethany, Nikia, and Natasha, and a darling granddaughter, Akira. I present to some and introduce to others. Our presenter this morning, Dr. Michael Omina.
All right, thank you. Almost Doctor, soon to be Dr. Robinson. I'm happy, glad, as they say, to be here virtually. We bring you greetings today. Let me get all my hats out the way. Let me start at the top since I do represent our parent body. So I bring you greetings on behalf of Dr. Jerry Young, the president of our National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated, Dr. Alvin Love, the chair of our Federal Faith-Based Initiative, our entire Hope Health Ministry team. I also bring you greetings on behalf of the Sunday School Publishing Board, Dr. Derek Jackson, our executive director, where I serve as regional coordinator. And of course, today I bring you greetings on behalf of Mid-South Churches Cooperative Conference Baptist State Convention, where I'm blessed to be the president. And of course, my biggest honor being the under shepherd at the Hill Hernando Baptist Church in Hernando, Mississippi. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't give kudos to the person who keeps me in line half the time, my wife, Lottie. I'm excited to be a part of this virtual webinar, this series. Please feel free to post questions in the chat room. We want to be able to walk through this. We want to be able to learn from each other. I didn't know exactly what you wanted to hear, so hopefully it'll be beneficial. And also, I do want to thank Turpin, get that right, for being our technology assistant who's doing a marvelous job. For all you all that are on the telephone, we'll be doing some things using PowerPoint slides. I'm sure that that Pastor Robinson will be more than happy to email you that information at a later time. All right, folks, if you're ready to rock and roll, as you see in this first slide, you have a person looking out at a waterfall and a rainbow, and it is going virtually. You see it as a video. That's interactive. If we want to be a ministry beyond the walls and everything, then we need to make sure that as the waterfall comes on over, it could be a bad thing, but the rainbow is always a sign of hope and a sign of another phase in life. Next slide, please. All right, everybody, let's cut to the chase. Let's go to the fact. Right now, this COVID-19 pandemic has really rocked, messed up, turned upside down the traditional church model, financially and faithfully. Financially and faithfully. Now, I'm gonna put a caveat in there. The research so far has shown that many smaller churches are actually doing better financially because their overhead is lower. It has been the larger churches, or the churches who have, quote unquote, have a high payroll, who are in trouble. And there is growing consensus that several larger churches around the country may not be able to survive quickly. In a previous life, I sold automobiles, and I worked at several large dealerships in Massachusetts. The rule of thumb was you got to be the right size. If you're too big, the cost of holding those cars was eventually going to cost you to go bankrupt. And we, across the country, we've seen that time and time again. So I share that as a caution for some and encouragement to others as we weather through this COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. All right, how are we doing here on Anabaptist Baptist Church? I want to, sometimes when webinar presenters come, they want to tell you how perfect they are and everything else. We're not a big church by mega church standards, but we are a big church when you look at the national numbers. The national numbers, if you got a church around 50 folks, that's a good sized church. I know some of y'all saying, man, I got a small church. I ain't got, I work with some churches here in Mississippi that got 10 folk. All right. And so from those statistics, I have a pretty good sized church. And I've always said, folks, if you have a church where you can't text everybody on their birthday and on their anniversary, your church is too big. But anyway, so far this fiscal year, we received over $700,000 in grant funding. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we interact. We moved 5 years ago into an old 26,000 square foot, oh wow, it's a typo, I apologize. I know how to type better than that. Square foot warehouse. Yes, warehouse, quickly. I do a lot of, what I was doing a lot of traveling across the country. I met a pastor in Greenville, South Carolina, and he had like 3,000 members, and he didn't have a traditional sanctuary, just regular chairs and stuff in there. And I was like, man, you got all these members and whatnot. Where's your fancy pews? I mean, this is like a warehouse. He said, Michael, why would I spend multi-millions of dollars on a facility I can only use maybe twice a week? And a light just boom, the real top of my head. And that same day, we were able to host some community, he was able to host some community activities because he had movable chairs. So that's, from that standpoint, time on, I realized I need a facility that we could use for multiple purposes because the church has to be a community resource. Let's say we get about 100 members, and I started a new thing, cooperative team members. All right, maybe they're not a part of our congregation. I'm not a member stealer. Their church is not doing a lot of things. I let the pastor know, well, your member would like to participate in a particular activity. And I would say we have at least as many cooperative people who work with us on activities and donate. We have some people, I get checks in the mail or cash apps from folks, and this was even before the pandemic hit, who just want to sow into our ministry and be a part of what we're doing. All right. And financially, we are better. We're better, number one, because I preach from home, so I don't turn the lights or anything. So our expenses are down, and believe it or not, our finances, our giving is up. Our membership growth, quantity has been steady since we've been in our new facility. But our spiritual growth has grown mightily. I'm gonna talk about that more in a minute. In this presentation, I want us to make sure that we focus on the spirituality and the quality of our membership growth. Next slide, please. So this is a question we want to ask them. How can we use Ministry Beyond the Walls to grow our ministries? Quality, put quality first and then quantity. I'll submit to you, if your quantity, there is no sound. So for Sister Lawson there. So I'm hoping that everybody else is okay, and it's just Sister Lawson. Okay. All right. Well, Sister Lawson, they'll work with you on that. They'll respond to you in the chat room. All right. If everybody else is able to hear it, just please let us know there in the chat room. All right. If everything's okay there. All right, good. Okay. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I know this is a brave new country. All right. But I call it God's promised land. Okay. So quality and quantity. Next slide, please. All right. Hope y'all got some notes and stuff, paper to write this on. Where are you, brothers and sisters? Where are you? Where are you? The first of all, I know it talks about without beyond the walls, but I got to think about the box. All right. I've never lived by the idea to think outside the box because I'm not in the box. I want everybody on this webinar today to just take a moment, breathe in, and recognize if you are God's representative, a pastor, minister, church leader, you're never in a box. Never in a box. The first time you start thinking about yourself being in a box, think about Moses at the Red Sea. He literally was in a box, but all he did was raise up his rod and bam, he was off and ready to roll. Always remember, the box is in your head. You're always outside the box. In ministry, you're never, ever, ever inside the box. Never talk about what you can't do. A quick example from my years of studying economics. Economics has something called short-term and long-term. Short-term, I'm limited in the number of things I can do. Long-term, I have an possibly unlimited number of actions. For instance, if I have a factory and all of a sudden everybody wants to start buying masks, I have to expand my number of shifts. I can't expand production anymore because my factory is only a certain size. But over time, I can do what? I can build a bigger factory. In the short term, I'm going to have more shifts. But in the long term, I'm going to get a big factory. Right now, we're in the short term. We're winging it using Zoom and WebEx and Facebook and all these other things. But in the long term, we're going to find even more creative ways of what we're doing. We're doing the best we can with overtime in the short term, but in the long term, we'll find even bigger and better things to help us along the way. All right, next slide, please. All right, so that was step one. Where are you? Now, a little sidebar. We're going to deal with the missional church. I don't know, some of y'all may be familiar, some of you are not. I have a short definition. I strongly encourage you to Google. There's several great resources. I'm a strong believer in this missional church movement. Quick, short definition. All right. So out of the Great Commission, Jesus told us to go and to be his ambassadors. Okay. But it turns it around from being go and be to come and see. In other words, we don't want to go out in the community, whether actually or virtually. We want everybody to come to us. All right. So in other words, we've gotten away from the first century model of the church, where we were before this pandemic hit, attached to buildings and different programs and things. Now, thanks to the pandemic, we're going back to our roots, where the church is not centralized in a building, but it's centralized in the people. And I would submit to you, God never makes mistakes in things that happen in our lives, that it is a God's way of getting us back to the go and be. And he's given us a way to be go and be virtually. Next slide, please. All right, second sidebar. All right. This is a typical foundation of a church in America. Okay? So the foundation of the church is weekend worship service. That's it. Weekend worship service. It's all about worship. All right? The staff and ministry teams, what is their job? Support the worship service. How we get lined up? What's the worship thing? What the pastor's going to preach on? How we're going to design the worship guide, so on and so forth. The other ministries, and we know who's number one on that list, the choir. Pastor, what you going to preach on? Hopefully they've been asking that, so we can get our songs right, and our praise team, and our liturgical dancers, and our ushers. What are we going to wear? So on and so forth. Our whole values, philosophy, our whole culture, it's all about worship service. All right? And for mission, mission is just doing stuff overseas and doing some outreach every now and then when something come up. And I asked the question, is this your church? I'm moving on. I don't want to upset nobody today. Next slide, please. All right. Step 2. Are your congregants I go or I am believers? All right. In this slide, you see to the left, the traditional model, the church as a business. I go to church. On the right side, we see, as we ought to be, the church as sent ones. I am the church. Okay? I go, I am. And before the pandemic, you could get away with, I go to church. And so we're seeing the churches that are experiencing growth, both quality-wise and quantity-wise, are the ones that their congregants are I am the church. So if you are I go to church, look at a church as the dispenser of religious goods and services that come to be fed and have needs met through quality programming. One theologian had a cartoon they put up. They had a drive-through window, and they said, this is what we need, okay? My wife needs a little women's ministry. My kids need some cookies and milk. I need a little pep talk from the men's fellowship, and we're gonna do all this in an hour. Okay, so it's kind of like this drive-through thing. So I go to church, and I would submit to you, one of the reasons why our nation, our communities are not as strong as they are is we got too many folks going to the church. But if we move to the new model of I am the church, we are an equipping center. We equip people. And this actually goes back to the Jewish model, the Old Testament model. Remember, in the Old Testament, especially at the time of Job, is that the father, the patriarch, was the priest of the house. And so really, if you think about it, now that we don't have people going into churches as we had before, we're got to be hopeful that in our households, there is that Job, there is that Abraham. Sometimes it may have to be a Mary, somebody there who has been equipped by your ministry, and they are an I am believer. And I would submit to you, the churches that are going to survive in this pandemic are not the I go to church, but the I am church. I am the church. And I would also submit to you that churches who have been so strong on the I go, it may not be possible for them to do enough things to become I am the church. Hold up. All right. Next slide, please. And I apologize. A lot of time in the morning I have that sinus drainage, but we're going to make it through. All right. So sidebar 3, this should be our church. This should be it. The foundation should be on making disciples. Or should I say, the foundation should be the Great Commission that Jesus laid out for us. All right? The mission, all right, is one to guide us in our philosophy, theology, and our values. The mission, everybody should be trained on what you do to support the Great Commission. I always tell my folks, when they ask me, when I respond, Pastor, should we do this? I said, well, is it is it going to help save souls, or is it going to help nurture souls that are already saved? Every pastor, minister that's listened to me this morning on this webinar, if you are going to undertake something, if it's not going to save a soul or nurture a soul that's saved, then you're wasting your time. Because everything has to be locked back into the Great Commission. I know we got all these things we're trying to do. We do all these workshops and everything else. But at the end of the day, we are a Great Commission movement. Okay? And so the idea, we got to build a community of smaller church meetings. In other words, when we talk about the I am the church, maybe you have the young people doing something. I know it sounds a lot like Southern Baptist, but so be it. The young people, the women, the men, other groups. And you do cross-pollination, because you got to be careful when you have everybody that's always meeting in that group, you get these little cliques. So maybe you have your men's group, but then you have men's group by birthdays and men's group by ages, men's group by interests. So you keep cross-pollinating. And then you may have a group where you have people from the South. And I was going to the school in Boston. They had different clubs by where you were from. They had the Southern Club and the Northern Club. And I like those ideas because you're building ways for people to interact so they become more of I am the church. And look, the weekend worship service, hey, it's just for a time for us to come back, check in, enjoy each other, and then go back into work. The work has been done. The work begins. Our theme for our church has been dedicated to service after the benediction. So service is not in that hour and a half, but it's after the benediction. All right, next slide, please. And again, if you got any questions or comments, feel free to put those in the chat room. All right, so step 3, how do we assess where our congregation is a missional or mission church? All right, I submit to you these 5 questions, which I would tell you I adapted from my days of taking journalism in high school. All right, who are we? Who are we? And the church, number 1, is a living organism. And I use the word church in this context of this webinar, not as a building, but as in people. Who are we? It is a living organism. And remember, a living organism has to be fed. And I'm going to say something crazy next up. You got some folks that have been in your congregation that have been on a spiritual hunger strike. And some of them you got to force feed. Literally, you got to force feed them. Because if you're not being fed, what's going to happen? You're going to end up being skin and bones. You're not going to have any energy. And you cannot have a church that's going to be the I am church if you got people that are spiritually starving. All right. But then there also is a what are we? Yes, we are an organization. We are incorporated. We do have bylaws. We do have a structure because we have to interact, number 1, in this society, the governmental regulation, we got to respond to them. And then number 2, we are human, and we are Black humans for the most part. And in that case, we got to have some structure because things may get willing in it. So we are an organization. This third thing we too often forget, and how we're looking at beyond these walls. When are we? We are a now because we have work that we're doing for the Lord. But I feel like we ought to forget the later part. We spend a lot of emphasis. I'm grateful. We do. We put him on the cross, Jesus. We put him in the grave, and then we bring him up on the 3rd day morning. That's important. That's our message. But I feel like we miss the other part, which is heaven and hell. And the idea is that we got to remember we are a now in what the work that we're doing, but we are a later. And I would submit to you the reason that we are hung up on that later part is we're not thinking about ourselves as the church, meaning the I am, the individuals are the I am church, but we're looking at the church as a whole. If we focus on the I am, the church, then we realize we need to be concerned about our folks' soul salvation. So later, are you going to be in heaven or hell? All right. Then the where are we? This is something that I feel like Satan has gotten us messed up in the head. Remember, our citizenship is in heaven, not on this earth. So literally our churches are embassies in a foreign land. And that's not surprising to me it's surprising to me that how folks get so upset because the church in certain instances, depending on what it is not accepted. Well, guess what? If you're in a foreign land, there are going to be some things that the foreigners do that you don't do. And they're not going to understand. No matter how you try it, they're not going to understand. And the sooner we understand that we are these embassies in a foreign land, and plus if you're a Black church, you are in a double foreign land. Not only in a foreign land in the world, but you're foreign land being Black. And so as we start thinking about being an embassy, that means if you look at when the United States go into another country, they have an embassy, but they also, the power of the embassy is not in the building, but look where I'm going, it's in the ambassadors. And how the ambassadors can share with those in the foreign land about what the nature of the country is. And when you do that, you find yourself being able to create bridges. And who knows, maybe some of those in the foreign land may want to immigrate to your land. Just throwing it out there. And then why are we? The why is going to be the Great Commission. That is the substance. I know I see some churches with some great mission statement, vision statements, all these things, statements of faith, our church covenant. I got that. But at the end of the day, the why is real simple. Is the Great Commission. All right, step 3. Next slide, please. All right, once we know who we are, how to let the world know? All right, so number 1 on this list, we got to fully embrace the digital environment. And I'm not talking about just now. You have to make a commitment this day, where you are right now, that this is not going to end. Let me share something with you. Even if tomorrow we had a vaccine that would eliminate this COVID-19, we have some folks who are comfortable right now in going to church worship in their pajamas and being fulfilled. Our Generation Z, we're so hung up on the millennials. We got to look at those people from the late 90s and early 2000s. The millennials, they getting to be old folk now. The Generation Z is what we got to focus on. And these kids are tapped into technology. I guarantee everybody on this webinar got five or 10 teen books about millennials. Ain't got, and I'm gonna be country now, you ain't got now talking about Generation Z. Well, I tell you, I double, triple dare you to go on Amazon someplace right now and get you something on Generation Z, so you can know what's happening and get the. And then I know some of y'all on the phone just because you got difficulties, but right now, if you are not comfortable on Zoom and all this other stuff and use technology, oh Lord, I'm gonna pray for you. If I was one of them old shade tree preachers, I start selling me some technology oil, so I can just sprinkle on some of y'all, so you can just gotta get with it and whatnot. But I ain't like that. But you know where I'm coming from. All right, okay. And so the digital environment, and know what you're doing. We get so bamboozled. I had somebody was saying, "Oh man, if you give us $2,000, we'll set your page up, and you'll be able to do giving and have your videos all in one place." I was like, "Man, this is exciting." I went and checked it out. What they said, they didn't realize I knew a little something about this stuff. What they did is they set up a one-page website, and they did links for PayPal, Giverfly, and the video. I was like, you know what? I can do that myself. All right, because we don't want to take. Look, can I just say this? And I don't want y'all to get mad with me. You know, Dr. Williamson. I thank Dr. Ed Williamson for inviting me. Hopefully, you know, after I say this, he won't stop being my friend. But the thing about it is, as pastors, we don't want to admit what we don't know. We don't want to admit what we don't know. I don't have a problem. If you ask me about room sizes, I know nothing about it. I can't handle that construction stuff, okay? And because we don't want to admit what we don't know, they take advantage of us on technology. But we got to embrace this digital environment and know that it's not going to end. Then the social media. We go so strong on the web page. It's so fancy, so can't anybody deal with it. They can't find anything on it. It's just crazy. It looks all flashy, got music and all that kind of stuff on it and whatnot. But you need you need to focus on your social media and have a very basic, easy to read, understand web page. Your Facebook page has to be interactive and not just have pastor's sermon on there. I know I didn't mean to say it and hurt nobody, but you got to have, if you on our website, it's gonna be on our Facebook page, we have the daily scripture on it because people are interested in knowing on a daily scripture with a daily theme as they're growing, because remember, I am the church. If things coming up in the community, you share that information. Because I interact our church stuff with our state convention, I have my congregation linked to in that social media feed to our church and our state convention. Because right now, our state convention is doing heavy on mental health because of the national. So that you have a reason for folks to come to your Facebook page. On our Twitter feed, we feed stuff from our Facebook page to our Twitter feed. We do a little bit on Instagram, not a whole lot and everything, but we are interactive. It's not you go to our Facebook page and the last post was 2 years ago. Or you go to our Facebook page and every picture is about me and Sister Minor. And I love our YouTube videos or our Facebook posts that we have. You never know whose picture is going to come up. And yes, we do have a YouTube channel I just started by virtue of this. And we're going to work on that more. And I'm discovering on our YouTube channel that people are start going to it live on Sunday morning so they can watch our worship. All right, and I can talk more and more about this thing in social media, but that's another session all of itself. Video conference software. All right, so whether you're on Zoom, Cisco, WebEx, whatever case may be comfortable, but know how to multi-stream. And multi-streaming, it works. The issue is being from our homes. Sometimes our bandwidth is not strong enough, but it's great when you can be on Zoom and then stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. It's a wonderful thing. All right. So the other thing about how to let the world know is the I ams. Remember, I talked about previously that I am the church. So now that we're not able to kind of congregate in a place physically, all right, guess what? If you have really worked on your folks to be the I am, everywhere they go, everywhere they interact, your church is there. I have a member is getting stronger, and she's really the priest of her house. And everywhere she goes, she talks about how her pastor talks about the importance of prayer, and she's sharing the message. That's why we got a number of people who are watching our broadcast. Come on, let's be honest. I have more people watching, listening to my morning message now than I did before the pandemic. Way more. It's never a week I'm gonna have under 150 folks that's gonna view that video. That's a bad week. And where on Sundays, if I had 100 people, that's a big Sunday. More or less, it's maybe 50 or so folks. So now I am reaching more people. And part of those people are coming because of the I ams members that we have. Okay? Okay. And that comes to the realization that the congregation you have now is not the same one you had before this pandemic started. Number one, the existing people, their mindset has changed. They're trying to deal with this current situation. Some of them are shell shocked. They don't know how to deal with that. They got different needs. And then there are other folks who are falling into your orbit. I've got a couple of people. I got one person who started worshiping with us virtually. She was going to a church that didn't stop face-to-face worship. And he said the Sunday somebody sneezed and they didn't cover their mouth, she stopped going. She needed a place to go. Another person was going to a church, and that church only had the pastor on the Zoom, on the Facebook, and on our broadcast. And on ours, we have, it's interactive. We got a Sunday school overview. We got our ministers and our devotion, our young people, praise and worship. We got prayer time in addition to my message. And they wanted more. And I told my folks the first day we went on, we cannot survive in this pandemic with people just listening to me preach. We got to be interactive. And then we got to go to the basics. I know in the past, we've had all this liturgy and everything else. Right now, we got to go back to the meat and potatoes. We got to have some singing and a message and whatnot. Keep it to about an hour, and we'll find out how wonderful those things are. And this is the big thing here. We got to, now that we're in it, guess what we're able to do? We can quantify who we're reaching, who our people are, how many views are we getting, okay, the demographics, what's the age range, where they are, and then we can monetize it. Because do you not know right now that in the Black Baptist Church in America, we have the largest broadcast network to reach out to the Black folks in the country. Let me say it again. Right now in America, these Black churches, the Black Baptist churches leading the way, have the largest broadcast network reaching Black Americans. That's right. Right now, the reason I'm able to provide a sponsorship for this session this week from NIH to promote our All of Us research program for the National Baptist Convention is because we're reaching you all. I know we got like 34 folks and attendees, a number of you all are pastors. But guess what? If Dr. Wilson really wanted to push it, he'd come back and do a poll and find out from each one of you all how many people you reach on Sunday. Look at the numbers. So let's just say 20 of you all are pastors. So take those 20 of you all, and then the 20 of you all, and you spread the same message I'm saying to you right now in your worship and stuff you're having. You can monetize that, and you can market that as your Empire State Convention. Look, why are you wasting money on ABC? If you give us some of this money and push the stuff out of here and whatnot, we can reach it. And not only will we reach it, we're going to come back behind it and tell some folks about what we're doing. We got to take advantage of this moment and show them the numbers, not our talking numbers, but our metrics, because you can do the metrics from Facebook, from Twitter, from YouTube, all that, and you can show it and you can monetize that. I've already been doing it to push stuff in the National Baptist Convention. While other denominations can't get grants, we're just finishing up and closing up on a $200,000 grant in this environment. Think about it. We're doing it and going to do promotions for the rest of from 2020 to 2021 virtually. Unheard of. Why? Quantify metrics, demographics, we monetize. Next slide, please. And look, I can't go through all this because my time is limited. I didn't want to put this out here, but I knew in my heart that if I didn't, Dr. Williams know I'm all about quality, I would get jumped on. I apologize, I didn't put the slide to cut off. I adapted this from the Leadership Challenge when I was in graduate school. It's a book called The Leadership Challenge. And how do we establish and sustain Ministry Beyond the Walls? This is what you got to do quickly. These 5 practices supported by 2 commitments. Quickly, you got to model the way, okay, as leaders. So if you're not on Zoom and social media and all that stuff, yes, we will make sure to send the PowerPoint to the participants, okay? They already have it. They'll get it to you, all right? A shared vision. Now, I know that the preacher, the Lord gives a vision to the minister, but then we got to share it with our folks so they become the I ams, okay? We just can't say it's ours. We got to do enough so that's a part of them. And this third thing is tough for a lot of you all. I've always been a bivocational preacher. I had my cousin, he pastored a big church in Detroit, and I was so excited when I went to his church. He had a parsonage and a car and a salary. He sat down, had to work. And first thing he told when I sat down, he said, whatever you do, boy, keep a job. Wow. He said that if you don't have a job, you are controlled. And so things will come up where you know you need to say A, you got to say B. So you got to be able to challenge the process, knowing that if it goes the other way, you may end up on the street. And you got to be comfortable with that, because you constantly got to keep challenging, keep the thing fresh, just like a marriage. In August 26th, it'll be 25 years for Sister Minor and I. And I got to keep up. I can't do the same things as we do in going out in places that I did 25 years ago. We got to challenge the process. This next thing is hard for a lot of preachers, including myself. I'm going to raise both my hands, okay? You got to enable others to act. And we got to grow people. We got to two of my associates, I never thought they would have been preachers. I didn't think they would be even Sunday school teachers, or just, just a shocker. But in the time of growing and whatnot, I've allowed them to grow. And and they know it at the heel. I might just ask you to do anything because I got confidence in you. And as you do that and get things in place, you'll find some helpers in getting it done. I think the most important thing that we fall from is we don't do enough encouragement. We don't do enough celebration. And usually we celebrate big things. But I would submit to you, it's the little things that we need to celebrate. For instance, we do a good job, I believe, in celebrating our members' birthdays and anniversaries. But what about from time to time, something big? Like, for instance, one of my members, her mother, she's not a member of our church, but her mother's turned 80 years old on last week, Tuesday. So I called and told her, said, look, tell your mom that your pastor said happy birthday. All right. That really encouraged my member. Her mom means everything to her. Okay. Now, I'm not going to call every year and with the age was something special. A lot of folks in their family had died young. So here I am, a pastor, and rolling it out. It's little things. Many of graduation. Right now, no excuses to miss graduation. They're all virtual to go and participate. All right. And doing those things. We want to encourage people. Sometimes I just text something out the blue. The Spirit is working on me. I just text them, how you doing? Or I send a JPEG or something and doing those things. I'm trying to work with, I'm so busy, but I'm trying to work on a complete study that adapts. And this model is based for businesses in corporate America. But I've started working on how we can take this model and bring it to the church house. And I've used this in our congregation. And I've submit to you, this has helped us not only to establish, but to sustain this ministry beyond the walls. Okay? All right, next slide, please. All right, and this is the last slide. How do we know we're truly committed to being a missional church? How do we know that we're truly doing mission beyond the walls? All right, it's 3 checkpoints. We are continually pursuing Christ personally. That's for everybody, including the pastor. Sometimes we get so hung up on trying to make sure keeping the bills paid, the lights on, that and everything else, we don't spend our time in our relationship and fostering our own relationship with Christ. We're trying to tell everybody else about the Lord, and we're not spending enough time ourselves and with the Lord. All right? And then we got to work on everybody, that I am being the priest of their household. The next thing is Jesus' priorities is summarized in the Sermon on the Mount. That was his platform. Those are things he laid out. Those are things that we should be interested in. Those things we should be pushing. If we're going to get involved with politics and anything else, we got to push those priorities. And then the third thing, the Holy Spirit. He's our guide. He's the one. And we have to follow the Holy Spirit even when it doesn't make human sense. Some things that come up. For us to go into a warehouse from a traditional church didn't make much sense, but now I see why. And if we can answer yes to these 3 checkpoints, then we're truly committed. All right, the last slide, which is for our questions, answers, comments, and feedback. Woo! I got it done in 50 minutes. It was a tight one. All right, everybody.
Thank you,
Right.
Dr. Minor.
All right.
That was a great presentation. I'm going to encourage the pastors and participants who have questions. Please send your questions through either in the Q&A box or by chat, as some of you have been doing. Are there any questions? Any questions? I'll start with a question, Dr. Minor. I listened as you're talking about how to monetize the moment. Could you give a little more detail on how, as a church, during this time, we can monetize what's happening in the moments concerning our churches?
All right, quickly, it's about three areas we can look at. And number one, because we're doing health ministry and everything for the National Baptist and even our local church, there are a lot of people trying to get health messaging out. So it may be some of the hospitals, even though the hospitals are hurting, some of them have been getting some funds from the feds and other places, drug manufacturers, places like that, that you can reach out to and tell them that you can share this information. I will submit to you, it's probably easier working from a convention standpoint than a church, but that can work for you. Secondly, your folks in your congregation, they're attached to companies and organizations that are trying to get messaging out. For instance, it wasn't a financial gift, but my wife was working with one of our partners, and they're going to donate 5,000 face masks to us. Church in our area, our other state convention, in Mississippi has 7 state conventions. And when I say state convention, that's a plural thing in Mississippi. The other state convention in our area with Memphis Food Bank, Mid-South Food Bank, who were distributing food and stuff out and doing those things because of the network. I didn't participate because I got a compromised immune system, and I want to be able to be on the front line. Then the other thing is that we got to look at that. We got to look at going after the grants, because now our grants from local, state, and federal, they're changing how they're going to do some things. So I would say start going up and say, look, and start doing up a fact sheet for your church. We reach these number of people. These are the age brackets for your convention that we have lined up. This is who we're reaching on a basis. This is how we get the information out. As you show that information there, it becomes appealing to somebody who wants to advertise.
Okay, great. I have a question from one of our participants, and they want to know what role or how can the hospitality ministry reach out more during this time of pandemic?
Oh, great question. So one of the things you can do is that in our church, we have our church webpage. We also have our church Facebook group. And in our Facebook group, we do things for people's, because it's private, just us. It's not everybody else. So we put things in about people's birthdays and anniversaries and those type things. The other thing for hospitality, your greeters. So one thing is maybe you put a JPEG up every morning or maybe at lunchtime. How's everything going or whatnot, just to cheer up their day. The other thing that you do is sometime in the hospitality ministry, you're the people, I'm going 2 ways with this. You're the people that people may come to with issues or problems. Have them feel free to inbox you or email you or text you or call you with information they have. And also in our church, the hospitality ministry is with the food. One thing we're working on right now is a virtual salad feast, working with some other churches. How they're using Zoom, or maybe you want to use a Facebook Live in a group, that everybody's around. You have your table and you show your dish that you have, or are you preparing stuff and everything that you have in place. Because we got some folks right now got to cook more than they ever had before. Some of the young folks know what a crock pot is and those things. And it'll be great to interact between our seasoned saints and some of our Generation Z and getting that done. So I know the hospitality ministry can go both ways. So hopefully that hope you, as we say down here in the country.
Excellent, thank you, Doc. What would be your view on a statement that was made that the pandemic came as a means of driving the church out of the walls into the marketplace?
I agree with that 100%, because as I said before, the early church was in our houses. That's where it was. We were out in the streets. We were street witnessing. That was just what we are, was our DNA.
Right.
And I think more so in our urban areas, in the more rural areas where I'm more akin to, we really do a lot more than anyhow. It's just out of necessity, because we are the welfare place and the outreach place and all those things. But more so in our urban areas, we got very comfortable and become these retail centers and everything, where everything comes in, where everything revolves around this building. And so the pandemic is pushing us back to our roots. And the roots of the Black church is not built upon in some building, but going out to the old Bush Harbor, where they go out early on Sunday morning and get away where a master couldn't hear them, and you congregate. And then the other thing about it is that you had to permeate. Once you got away from on Sunday, you couldn't have any Bible study and stuff like that. But the messaging permeated throughout the families and the community in the week and following up. And the messaging just wasn't about the gospel. The message was all about how we can deal with the oppression. And sometimes it was who's going to be running away, who's going to be escaping, and these type things. So God has used this as a season for us to go back to our roots, both in the first century church, but also in the origins of the Black church. Remember, in the Black church, we were either going in the slavery days, we were either Baptist or Methodist. And since I'm on a Baptist call here, and most of them were Baptists, because Baptist worship was much more spiritual and creative than were Methodists. That's why the things end up with more Baptist churches now than Methodist churches.
How would the once the pandemic is more under control, how would the church retool to continue ministry beyond the walls? Because the possibility is that some will come back into the church and fall back into the old ways. How could we make sure that we maintain this outreach or retool ourselves?
Well, what I'm about to say is going to sound crazy, but I just got to speak the truth. I think one thing right now, while you're on lockdown, you need to have a meeting of your powers that be and put it a part of your bylaws, your operation tools, whatnot, that this will continue to be a part of what you do. My fear is that right now, everybody's doing it because they got to do it.
Right.
But with some of us Black Baptists, unless you vote on it and whatnot and put it in there on paper, it's not gonna last. But I would wish we could just say this is what we're gonna do. But you got to formalize that it's just going to be a part of what you're doing, and that means then that you got to train some people up, let them be sustainable, invest some dollars in and whatnot, and going forth. And even in your, as you start your pastoral search, your leadership search for those as they'll be deacons or trustees or whatnot, those things, you got to make sure that they are comfortable working in a technological environment and everything. And plus, I just noticed that way. Cash App, it works. Giverfly, all these other things in. It's a good way of giving. And the final thing I would say on that is that this is a great way to keep our seasoned saints' minds active. As you get older, if you don't interact, your mind doesn't interact enough, it's going to be problematic. So I don't want you all going out saying we're going to do this just to reach Generation Z. Also say we're doing this to reach our seasoned saints who can keep connecting. If they're in the nursing home, if they're bedridden or whatnot, they can still interact with their congregation. So work it from both ends and they can work for you.
Thank you, Dr. Minor. Our time is up now, and we want to say again, on behalf of all of us, we so appreciate the time you've taken to stretch our minds and to make us think differently and perhaps take a fresh look at ministry. To those who asked the questions about receiving a copy of the presentation, we'll make sure through the technology team that all of you who participated will get a copy of the presentation. Again, Dr. Minor, thank you so much. And I'd like to keep in contact with you after this to follow up on the great work that you're doing with your church.
All right. See, I always say, you pray for you, pray for me.
Let's have a word of prayer. Father God, in the precious name of Jesus, we praise and thank you once again for your presence with us. During this time of pandemic, you have not shut us out from learning and being able to come together virtually. We thank you, Father God, for the information that we received this week. Thank you for the vision and leadership of our state president, Dr. Carl Washington Jr. Thank you for the leadership of our Congress, Reverend Dr. James R. Banks II. Thank you for the hard work of our dean, Dr. Williamson. Bless every pastor. Bless every church. Let us not be hearers only of this word, but doers of the word. Thank you, Father God, for the time you have given us during this pandemic to refresh, to refocus, and re-envision, Lord God, the purpose you have for your church. These are all blessings we ask in the name of Jesus, and for his sake we pray. Amen. Have a blessed day, blessed week. Thank you again. Thank you, Dr. Turpin and technology team for your great work. We appreciate you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you so much. I also left a message in the chat. Anyone who desires to have a copy of the presentation, please email the email that is in there, and you will get a copy. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.